Okay, thank you very much. All right, thank you for the opportunity to talk to you this afternoon. I'm not going to repeat everything we've just talked about, but really the key about this afternoon, without giving my presentation away, it's how each of the digital media strategies actually connect with each other and in what order to actually deliver leads and sales, and how you actually track and measure using Google Analytics. So that's it. You don't need to hear anything more from me because I've just given the whole presentation away. Right, okay. So who's actually claimed their My Google Business local listing? Who knows what that is? Good. Google Maps, for anybody who's not actually clear on that. So does that make any difference? Okay, so probably around 50%. So who actually has a physical offline business in the room? Okay, 2 or 3, like a retail store, like bricks and mortar, that's the word. Okay, all right, so for those who haven't actually claimed that, it's actually the normal Google results that you'll see when you have actually claimed it and you are actually being found on the front page of Google. So you just go through a very simple verification process. It is one of the main local strategies for a bricks and mortar business. It is not just a case of filling in your details and that's it, miraculously you appear. However, you will have to market your site. It's too big a subject to go into detail. Apart from it's about local directories, it's about reviews, it's about optimization of your website as well as the links coming into your website and the Google Maps listings. But as this example just happens to be about plumbing services, anything to do with Brisbane or anything to do with the name of any city is likely to come up with the Google listings. And so it is completely free. It will take probably at the most a week now to verify the listing, and I still know that many, many businesses don't even know that it exists, which is why I mention it. Okay, so the main issue is, I honestly know, while there are some definitely good marketing companies out there, so I'll be very clear about that, business owners are getting ripped off by sales pitches and empty promises, and I see it on a daily basis. The problem is, and it's no fault of the businesses at all, they don't know what they don't know because they don't do it full time. Just like outside of digital marketing, I don't know about many, many different types of businesses. So we all get caught from time to time. But this is a major problem in my industry. As I say, there are a lot of good people out there, but there's an awful lot more, unfortunately, of those who will talk the talk and not necessarily give you the honest truth. So, okay. So this drove me to create this very short presentation, and the one principle that I'm going to talk about this afternoon literally has created raving fans across the world, because after nearly 10 years of doing this, I know that integrated marketing is the key, and we're going to talk about that as we go through this. Because, yeah, almost 10 years ago now I started this full time. All of it's been in Brisbane. I do have international clients. I do have a team of people. So it's not just me, but I started off just learning it all on my own, like most people do in my first year of business. And I did literally waste thousands and thousands of dollars, as you do, not knowing what you're doing. And I made a very smart decision because I was lucky enough to come across a group of internet marketers who are literally in the top 1% in the world, and they truly are in the top 1% in the world. And that's not all of them, but that's some of the key names, or rather pictures I should say, but I'm not going to go through all of them because this is more about you, not about them. Suffice to say that I have invested well in excess, don't know what it is now, of $120,000 to know what I know today, and I don't know everything. I learn something new every day. But I can tell you that there is an awful lot to know for anybody who knows about the digital media space. It's an ever-expanding and ever-changing opportunity. So yes, business owners are still, unfortunately, confused and unaware of what works and what doesn't work. I can say that hand on heart, including those who actually supply those services. So the message is clear. And really, to repeat what I've already said, it's about Google Analytics. It's about measuring. Because in the end, there's different ways to measure your success online as well as offline. But I can tell you, if you put me on the spot after nearly 10 years and said, what's the #1 skill to be aware of? It's measuring. And I know for a fact that virtually no one looks at Google Analytics on an advanced basis. So I'll just give you, for anybody who knows all about measuring, I hate this to be boring, so I will give you some advanced ideas of measuring. So who's actually seen heat maps before? Okay, so quite a few people in the room. So who actually uses that for their websites currently, though? Okay, so it is something that not that many people use, but it is, as the name suggests, where the eyes go, or rather the mouse goes, when they actually look at a website. And so the red marks, if you can see that, is where the main activity is. So when you actually put, in our case, we have software that does this for us, but it actually does track the mouse movements. And so you want to know what's actually of interest to your website visitors. You want to know what they're confused about. And this starts to give you a lot of really, really interesting answers. And then you've got something called scroll tracking. So you can literally see how far down the page people scroll before they actually abandon the website. And so you want to know whether all that hard-earned content that you created or someone else did is actually keeping them interested or not. So that's an advanced way of doing it, and it works with the software we have. It's also available in Google Analytics. And then, as part of the same software, to video the actual browser movements. So you can actually see visibly per session where people get confused or like your content. So it is very, very powerful. And then who actually uses split run testing or split testing in the room? I know somebody does, because they asked me about it yesterday evening. Right, hand up at the back there. Right, so split run testing or split testing is very simple in terms of A/B split testing. So you have page A on a website that looks like that, page B looks like that, you've changed a headline, you may have changed an image, one thing changes, and then you drive 50% of the traffic to page A and 50% of the traffic to page B. And you see what actually converts. So what do I mean by convert? What generates a phone call? What gets an email inquiry? How many people actually download your PDF? Whatever it happens to be. And then there's something that's really advanced, which we won't go into now. It's called multivariate testing. So that's where you test more than one thing on the different pages. So that's all I'm going to say. So that's hopefully of interest to those who might be bored by just basic testing. But this is really the key. Google Analytics is the key to the success of everybody's online marketing as well as offline marketing. And I absolutely mean offline as well as online. That's a reference from Suncorp Stadium, who we've worked with SEO and Google Analytics. So I'm not going to read that out, just to let you know that we might be able to help. So, who's actually using Google Analytics on their website right now? Okay, probably about 50%, all right. So who actually looks at it on a weekly basis, though? I say a weekly basis, not daily basis, okay. And
on a daily basis.
Pardon?
Too depressing, so.
Oh, wow. We'll talk about that afterwards. So who actually understands everything inside Google Analytics? Because it's a very, very powerful tool. And there's lots of advanced reports that you can actually create as well. It's literally worth hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it will tell you whether you're going to get that ultimate phrase that everybody talks about, return on investment, including, as you will know, social media, as well as your offline marketing. So I'm not here to talk all about the offline marketing, but a simple analogy is if you're sending out a brochure or advertising in a newspaper, you send them to a unique link on your website, and you give something away for free that's electronic, and you get them to opt in with their first name and email. And so therefore you can actually track the success of your offline marketing. There are some people who use it, but I haven't seen it happen very often. It is a basic tracking method, but it's absolutely essential. Okay, so this is obviously what I'm talking about. So it's how each part of internet marketing works together. So we do action these strategies as well as talk about them. So this is not everything by any stretch. So this is PPC, which is, everybody knows what PPC is? Who doesn't know what PPC is? Okay, pay per click. All right, so it's the top adverts of Google, where it's got the little yellow ad and down the right-hand side. And then you've got website landing pages, you've got emails, social media, blogs, and websites. So it's not just a case of let's just do one and then hope it works. It's how each one actually works with each other and in what step-by-step order. And I'm going to give you some examples of that in just a moment. But this is absolutely the key. You cannot just do one or two services and hope it's all going to work for you. It just doesn't happen that way. Okay, so just in case anybody is not convinced that internet marketing is the way forward, this is a recent survey that actually shows where people are pumping their money to in terms of investment. So the websites, not surprisingly, is the top one, then email marketing, then search engine optimization, and social media is catching up fast. TV is actually not being affected that much. It never was going to be affected as much as newspapers and offline brochures. But at the end of the day, the offline marketing world has been severely hurt by internet marketing. So this was a Chamber of Commerce survey that took place last year. We've already actually started to talk about what this is about. So only 55% of businesses at that time actually had a mobile-friendly website. So does everybody know what a mobile-friendly website truly means? All right, okay, I was going to say, I heard that a few times, so okay, so for anybody who didn't miss, or anybody who actually didn't hear that, it's basically all about the desktop content is exactly the same on a mobile, but it's obviously going to be read very easily. So there is something else, which I'm sure has been discussed previously, which is a custom mobile site, where the content is a lot less and is a dedicated site, still on the same URL, and that converts a lot better than a mobile-friendly website in that respect. So that's all I'll say, because it's built for a mobile experience. So 50% of consumers who visit a store within a day of their local search on a mobile. So for those who actually have the bricks and mortar store, this is a Google figure. It's been around a while. They've got many, many, many other statistics that prove that mobile is where it is today. Okay, so if you've got your phone switched on, what I'd like you to do now is actually search on Google and put into the search box, "Sell my home," and don't look at the adverts. And I hope, if it hasn't moved, you should be able to see a website called sellmyhouseonline.com.au. And making sure that no one actually owns that in the room just before we start. One day when I present on this, someone will go, "Yeah, I own that website." Wow. So let me know when you've actually found it on Google.
In the search results?
It's in the search results, not in the adverts. Yeah. Yep. So click on the URL for me, please. And who wants to tell me what the experience is when they see it?
Hideous.
Is it, pardon?
Hideous.
Hideous, that's a good word. Any advances on hideous? It won't load. Okay, that would be another good example. Slow load. What was that? No.
It's very small print and it's
Yes.
too much detail.
Too much detail, cluttered. Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
see automatically by going on there that it's a cheap agent.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you can just see it's just cheap and horrible. No,
Okay.
No, I'd never
Right.
go up against that.
Okay.
I wouldn't even, yeah.
I understand. Now I'm going to introduce the owner of the website. Come in, come in. I said, he's not here really. Right, okay.
And highlighted and underlined and different fonts.
Right, okay.
That's what you don't do.
Yes,
It's interesting because that's what most of the emails I get from banks look like.
right,
Perfect.
right. And they should know better. Yes, they should know better. They should know better. But that is not a mobile-friendly website, obviously. And there are lots of other websites that look like that. And I won't go around the room and ask if yours looks like that, because I'm sure you wouldn't want to tell me anyway. But at the end of the day, it is just an amazing situation that in 2015, with the Google changes that were mentioned earlier on, that if you don't have a mobile-friendly website, they won't, well, they're unlikely to show your website on a mobile. So, okay.
What is interesting is though it rates though. It's it's, as far as optimisation is concerned, it's number 3 on that list.
It rates probably because there's not enough competition that actually has made the effort to beat them. So this is where the opportunity is there. And it shouldn't be that hard at a basic level to do a mobile responsive website. It's a lot harder to do a custom mobile site because we've been 3.5 years of doing it. I can tell it's a complicated situation. So, okay, so examples of integrated digital marketing. So an easy one to begin with is, I don't know whether you all agree or not, but we'll talk afterwards, but I always say get them off social media as fast as possible. I don't have an allegiance to anything online. I talk about them all and we work with them all. So at the end of the day, you don't control the social media assets, the platforms, so you need to get them off social media fast into your email database. Give something electronically away for free that is literally something they would pay for. It's going to meet the pains, frustrations, challenges, and talks about, you know, without selling yourself, the unique benefits of your service. So that's an absolute imperative thing to have as a strategy. And then also to send people from your social media to your blog. That may sound very simple, but I wonder how many people actively do it and then measure the results. Because in the end, you can't sell yourself well on social media. It's a conversation starter, period, and it's a branding exercise. So that you get people to know, like, and trust you, and you have a little bit more content on the blog, then you send them to your website. So it's a mini marketing funnel. It is very simple when I describe it like that, and it's intended to be simple. And then for those who actually works with Google AdWords at the moment, pay-per-click is the other name for it. All right, so the paid advertising on Google that makes $60 billion a year for Google, and everybody tells me they never click on those ads. Well, somebody is, because $60 billion is quite a lot of money. So Google AdWords only should work with Google Analytics. I, hand on heart, have not seen a Google AdWords management company in 9.5 years actually go into Google Analytics at an advanced level. There are companies out there, but I have not seen them personally. And therefore, Google AdWords is 50% of the discussion, highly, highly targeted traffic, but the question is what happens when they actually get to your website? Do they like it? Do they hate it? Where do they go? If you don't know those answers, you are literally, potentially wasting your money on paid advertising. So the two have to go together. We will not work with anybody if you don't have Google Analytics. So we just had a great example of loading times. Who knows how fast their website loads? I don't know. In seconds. All right. So 1 or 2 people. But if it actually loads after 3 seconds, you've got a problem. And there was a recent survey online that said for every extra second after the first second a website loads, you lose 7% of leads and sales. And I can tell you, looking at websites on a daily basis, that's the first thing I look at. Most websites, 5, 6, 8, 10 seconds. So, and more in some cases. But you actually will get to know that information inside Google Analytics. But what's the point of doing paid advertising or any advertising if you actually don't know how fast your website's really loading? Because they'll just leave anyway. Stands to reason. Okay, so there will be offline referrals, particularly for this group, that shows up in Google Analytics. And so that's another part of integrated marketing that you need to be aware of. The issue is when you use multiple companies for your internet marketing. One looks after social media, one looks after paid advertising, one looks after, websites. They don't talk to each other, and they're unlikely to have the integrated marketing knowledge to actually pull it all together and then actually, most importantly, get you the leads and sales or drive people into the bricks and mortar stores. Okay, because in the end, you have to know your acquisition costs. Most people don't know their acquisition cost of getting a new lead or getting a new sale. It is about sales, it is about profits, and it's about what everybody talks about, return on investment. But how many people genuinely know what's happening off their offline marketing and online using Google Analytics? I don't think many do, but come and talk to me afterwards if you do, because I'd love to have a chat. Okay, so as far as we're concerned, just to end, it's all about transparency. because you have to know whether you're investing your money wisely. It's about designing a custom strategy, managing all the channels with one company, whether it's us or anybody else. And most importantly, it's about tracking and measuring, both of those.